Are you excited? I'm excited. Core Set 2020 looks crazy and it's only coming out in a few days. Hopefully just tomorrow if I post this on time. Either way, I'm Lucky Sevens. I'm going to do something a little different today, and I'm going to talk about my top cards in this upcoming set. The first part is going to just be a couple honorable mentions, 5 to be exact. And for whatever reason, I just don't think they're going to hit right, even though I really want them to. Something about them is really interesting, or something about them is really powerful. I just don't see the deck right now. Starting for the first honorable mention, Dread Presence. This slots in well into a deck I already made, New Black City. Watch it, put the views up. It's more flexible. Comes down one turn earlier than Tatiova, I think her name is, the druid. I just don't see it actually making it in the deck. I think I'm going to include one just to test it out, but that's it. Honestly, might not be good. Next one, Brought Back. I feel wrong about this one even as I say it, but I think this is just going to see modern play, which is fine. A lot of people play modern and the price is going to be crazy. I think it will see play in standard as well, but Unbreakable Formation didn't absolutely break mono white. It was just a good card to slot in. Some decks use 4 of it, and I think that's because it could also be aggressive. This one is much more reactive. It's like, oh, something dies, great, I can bring it back. Doing that on curve with something like History of Benalia and like a Banalish Marshall, when they kill it, like stuff like History of Benalia just dies naturally, and then great, you just get it right back. Maybe even, -6ing with the Gideon and it dies. There's a lot of options for this that I see, and I'm excited for it, but I don't think it's gonna hit. Next, Flood of Tears. The question is, does Ramp want this? Are they willing to put Omniscience in, or is Nissa good enough to put on the board after the bounce? If not, why not use River's Rebuke? I think this will be a fun deck that people are going to play with, myself included, but I don't think it's going to get there as something that will push the meta in any sort of significant way. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really play too much of the Simic manipulation deck, and that joint is kind of fun, and maybe this is supposed to be in there. Maybe I'm not seeing it. Next, Safara. Once it hits the field, it is amazing against aggro and stops board wipes. Unfortunately, 4 things on the field, all with flying, is going to be a tough thing to do in the beginning. In standard, I see people including it, but I don't see it being easy enough to include any more than 2. Probably even just a 1 of in a flying deck, just so, oh, all the stars have aligned, great, here goes this 7/7 on the board. One thing I am interested in, though, is the 4 Ornithopters, planes, then that that seems like a cute little modern combo. And last honorable mention, Retributive Wand. I want this to work so bad. Probably won't. Maybe Psy or Makeshift Munitions might make it work enough, but those are the only cards that are in standard that I think even gives this a chance. I mean, but it's a chance, and I just want to see it. This one is definitely the least powerful in the honorable mentions, but I had to mention it. Now on to half of the top 20. This first top 10 is going to be completely biased. It is stuff that I want to play with, I want to see work. They're really my favorite rather than the most powerful. And we're just going to get right into it. First, at number 10, Leyline of Combustion. I mean, fuck Control, right? I hate Teferi and Esper Hero right now very, very much. This plus Cinder Vines is a wet dream of a sideboard against them and a lot of other control. And I hope this just locks people out of games and makes them have to sideboard well rather than just put in more removal or toss in 1 or 2 Lyra Dawnbringers or the usual Thief of Sanity if they are control. I just want this to change it up and really put them in a tough position. Next card I want to build around a bit is Repeated Reverberation, coming in at number 9. If anyone manages to see this entire thing play out before the concede, let me know. Just hope the animators don't waste too much time on it. Also, overkill, most likely. I will build around it, 100%, but I don't expect it to be the most consistent. The Planeswalker loyalty ability thing is very cool though, and maybe it will work. Coming in at number 8 is Rotting Register. Huge hype, but dies to cast down. No, seriously, this is an issue this time, because that Doomblade argument actually makes sense. I think it'll be amazing in black aggro, but the opponent can let you untap, trigger the discard, then killing it, make it get 2 for 1 while you're giving your opponent a full turn to set that up, and do it for less mana than you actually put into Regisaur also. I think it's good, but I think it's dangerous. I just don't see this living up to the hype that its body set off. Coming in at number 7, Sorin. I mean, come on. Shit's cool, and we'll see play until rotation hits. Tons of those Twilight cast members from Ixalan still here. Don't think it will be tier 1, but it's been a while since any creature themed deck has really been popping in standard. Usually it's just the best cards of a color. Hopefully this creature centric Planeswalker can break that mold, and I see a lot of people playing with this at first. If it actually gets somewhere, I don't know, but obviously in stuff like Commander, people are already talking about it, which is cool. For Standard, I just want to try, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. Number 6, Chandra's Spitfire. Woo! I've been looking for another way to play red deck wins without slowly becoming an asshole myself, and this seems to be the path to light the way. Spare Skewer, Viashino Pyromancer, Chain Whirler, Electrostatic Field, Fanatical Firebrand, all creatures that allow the deck to play less burn but trigger the Spitfire to fly over for a ton of damage. Tried a similar list with Finale and Gutter Snipe, but is too vulnerable and didn't play well with Viashino and Chain Whirler. And at Uncommon, I can actually craft and play with this day one. This is definitely one of the first decks you'll see me piloting. Alright, number 5, not sure if it's for Standard again, but Lotus Fields. It has the combo with Brought Back and Fetch Lands, and I think that's where it's going to be, because it should be dope in Modern. Fetch Lands obviously aren't in Standard, but the interaction with Brought Back is interesting. You could tap your mana, then play Lotus Fields, and you'll still have 2 mana floating, and then you can play Brought Back. So really, turn 3, there's a chance you could ramp up to 5 lands, which is dope. I'm just unsure if there's any deck that wants that as a build around. Coming in at number 4, Kalia. I am making this work. The 3 drops on are unbelievable. There's so many good angels, demons, and dragons. So the challenge is finding that balance of early drops. Boros Angels won some tournaments, and I see no reason this can't become good either. And having that as a backdrop to get inspiration from, aka Steel, is definitely a good starting point. Coming in at number 3, another budget favorite, Woodland Champion. Just another uncommon I'm excited to craft, then slot right into a deck. Celestia Tokens is already there. Splashing red for War Boss or Heroic Reinforcements might be the wave too. Regardless, this is a power couple with Shana, another 2-drop that feels like it can get out of hand quickly, very, very early. Before, the pseudo hexproof and stopping abilities didn't seem that potent, but now, with how much people use Planeswalkers to get rid of things, namely Teferi's -3 bounce, Shana is even more powerful in this format, this meta right now. Obviously, you're flooding the board, so it just needs some way to circumvent board wipe or be so strong that they have to deal with it every turn and you can refresh every turn, hence why the red would come in and apply some haste pressure. Either way, I'm positive this deserves to be in that type of deck, and I think this deck can actually get there as a tier 1 thing. Number 2, Riang, my muse. I already talked about her slightly in other videos, so I'll just say, fuck Esper Hero. This is the true shine for Hero of Precinct 1. Her greatness will show in Naya. I will push this deck to tier 1, even if I have to do it my goddamn self. Truthfully, I think it's just too good. Top of the curve for it. Pumps up all other multicolored creatures, which is just about everything other than Hero of Precinct 1. Strong stats, 5/4 flying, also brings back creatures so you can just crash in the turn that it comes down. Just a great card. And number 1, the card that I'm going to build around, that I'm going to craft, is Chandra. This one's going to be quick because I also think it is one of the most powerful cards that they printed, for good reason. Obviously, they're pushing Chandra. She's the star of this set. And she slots so well into my Is It Super Friends deck already, so yeah, I don't even really need to build anything around it. It's just going to slot in. The power of it is already known by anyone who's played even 3 matches against Sparky. Remember that floating nonsense at the beginning? Think the Tracer voice actor will come back to do more in the upcoming Mastery system? Love that it's doing more now, and that's the historic format. Will be like the beginning of this game's modern, which is cool. Won't be good for a while, but give it 10 years and it'll be dope. So I guess I'm looking forward to it. Talking about the future, what do you think the next set will be? I know this set isn't even out yet, but honestly, I really want to go back to Theros. The Scry lands are hopefully a good sign of that, but even story-wise, I really want to see Gideon Elspeth again. Also, I want to see Kaya fight Liliana, which is like some side story lore of the people from Ravnica trying to make sure everybody, including like Tezzeret and whoever else was working with Bolus, including Liliana, kind of get like justice done to them. But I want Liliana to be there because she's trying to resurrect Gideon, who, I mean, shown through the card, you see that he is that dude. And he was one of the only people that was really willing to help her and sacrificed himself to save her. There was something there. I didn't think it was just friendship. I think it's mostly his heroic nature. But son, I genuinely, more than anything, want to see a weird fuck once a year type relationship between those two, and that just not show up in side book in one sentence, but a fully fleshed out card of them in bed, drawn by Seb McKinnon, with really dope abilities, so everyone has to awkwardly just adapt to it and play it. And they have to look at the card and just be like, oh, well, I'll play this. And it's just them having sex. All right, well, you know, I went on a bit of a rant there. And that card will never be made. So, back to the list. Alright, so here's the actual top 10 list. Like the cards that I think are going to be the most powerful. We're going to start off the rip with the simple, easy one. All the hate cards. There's a lot of hate in Magic right now, and rather than feel there's a need to fix it,
we really feel like the meta is in a great place.
They decided to give each side more bombs for war. And that's the right move. Fuck Teferi, fuck Mono Red, and especially fuck Nexus of Fate. I can't believe that shit won the Mythic Championship. I mean, I can believe it. But that only fuels my disdain for that bullshit more and more. These cards are a great addition right now, and they definitely are going to be just sniping out cards that people hate playing against. Coming in at number 9 on the actual top 10 cards list, Planar Cleansing. Simple. Flavor text could easily say, eat a dick, but they went with the classy, nothing at all. Again, great choice by the creators. Right now, Planeswalkers are just a thing, but they also have creatures to push or protect. Again, Esper Hero and decks like it. Even Growl Super Friends I've been seeing. You need to clear the board because they usually are there to also push against opposing Planeswalkers or protect themselves. Shoot, another shout out to 4-color Dreadhorde. This deals with it all. Seriously, I've been using Star of Extinction to great effect and would have won 20% more games if it cost 1 mana less. So, I'm hoping that this does make a wave. Speaking of hate, y'all remember Mono Blue? Coming in at number 8 is Spectral Sailor. Mono Blue could easily come back into the meta. I think it's less that it's not good right now, more or less people are playing it. Teferi scared a ton of players away because it shuts down counterspells, which was a main part of their game plan. But I played it recently, and spell pierces are very much still in play for completely going under and fucking them up before that's even an issue. Now, instead of turn 1 opt, you flash this in, drop a Curious Obsession, swing for it, get a card, and then spell pierce their removal. Hit again, hold up counter magic, or flash in another creature for the rest of the game, slowly chipping away. The game plan hasn't changed, it just now has a strong 1-drop with evasion, with flash, and has late game draw that you can do at instant speed as well. It's just perfect for the deck, and if it makes a resurgence, this is absolutely getting slotted in. Goblin Ringleader coming in at number 7. Not much to say here. Modern staple and will probably be used in Modern. But for Standard, if there's going to be something that is going to push goblins before rotation, is Goblin Ringleader. It already has a Lord. It already has one that drops all the cost of goblins and gives them haste. It has strong creatures in Siege Gang, Commander, and Chain Whirler. With Wily Goblin, Fanatical Firebrand, all the other little things to make up the base, this could make it. At the number 6 spot is Embodiment of Agonies. So, interesting. At first look, felt like a build-around card, but in a 3-color deck, Kalia, like in Kalia, it just seems like an insane late game drop for cheap, which will really help get those turn 6, turn 7 tempo plays that will make you gain the lead. A 1/1 with flying and death touch feels shitty in the early game, but at least it's not dead. That's exactly the keywords to make him the scariest looking chump blocker in Magic. At number 5 is Leyline of Sanctity. I actually think some of the other ley lines are better, and the blue one especially is something that's just cool, the black one just being better. I really think out of all of the ley lines, this is the one that's going to hit Standard the hardest immediately though. It's going to be probably a sideboard edition thing, but this shuts off Burn, again, fuck you Mono Red, and Thought Erasure, fuck you Esper, and I hear the edges of the card are actually sharper, so when you throw them at a Nexus player, there's a higher chance you kill them. Won't affect Arena, but again, have to applaud the creators over at Wizards of the Coast for that little attention to detail. No, really, it's a good card. It's good to see play, I believe, in a lot of the sideboards of decks because it's a really powerful effect to turn on turn 0 of the game. At number 4 is Mystic Forge. Almost made it onto my biased build around list, and that's almost surely where it belongs. But I just have this tingling feeling it'll push the Tez combo deck over the edge. So Experimental Frenzy, and it kind of flew under the radar at first. And I won't do the same with this, even though there are a lot of key differences. Personally, I kind of want to mix this in red artifacts with Saheeli, Eugene, Karn, Treasure Map, Power Stone Shards, and a motherfucking Banefire. Also Star of Extinction, but that probably won't work. Still, in the Tezzeret deck, that seems like the perfect place to slot it in. Alright, on to the top 3. I might have some hit or misses with the other ones, especially Goblin Ringleader and so forth, but these I truly believe are just going to be the most powerful cards in Standards. And starting off that list at 3 is Kethis. Abzan Walkers will be a thing because of this card. Honestly, I think it could have been a thing without this card. I'm sure I could make a homebrew of those colors and still have something that competes. But this card is just a touch absurd. But I'd be angry if it was in blue or red, as Teferi or Sarkin even can push something with Abzan Planeswalkers over the edge. Just getting either one of those down one turn early would be soul crushing in these Mass Walker decks. Regardless, I'm sure people will try to slot them in 4-color Dreadhorde anyway. Even just the Wild Growth Explorer package in Abzan Walkers with Command the Dreadhorde seems vicious. Also, his second ability hoses it at least somewhat because you can exile your own Planeswalkers before they're snatched away from you. Beyond that, Eldest Reborn is something that can come down to turn early, along with the other legendary spells like that Yawgmoth one that people don't really use. So this just feels like a card that will grind, which feels appropriate for the colors. Also, a 3/4? Really? Did it need that stat line on top of it? Speaking of crazy stats, here is Brainstorm on a Body, number 2, Cavalier of Gales. What a body. I will be trying it in many decks, and it's simply card draw and filter and a flying 5/5 for 5 that sets up your next draws again if it does happen to die. Expect to see it a ton, especially next to Kefnet. But it is funny to notice its interaction with Narset. You'll pretty much just be placing 2 cards on the top of your decks and drawing nothing. Narset will most likely stay prevalent in Standard, but if you have a way to deal with it, now you just have something that is straight gas that is going to pressure every single Planeswalker and needs to be taken care of before you really can put anything else down. I think the card is just crazy. I don't think it's busted, but I think it's just insanely strong. You ready for this? I know there's a ton of other good cards, many just for flavor alone. I missed a bunch, but again, this is just my own opinion. This is what I thought the best cards of the set were going to be, what my favorite cards in the set were going to be. And honestly, even in both of those lists, this would have come out as number 1. Marauding Raptor. Yep, you heard it here, baby. Might be going for around $2 now, but I assure you it will be somewhere between the price of $3 billion to a human soul by week 3. Well, maybe not, but still, this under-rep is dangerous. It genuinely scares me. Imagine this curve. Turn 2, this. Turn 3, swing in, Phoenix. Turn 4, Hellkite, swing in with all 3. What? Seems basic, even though just 3 turns the opponent is most likely to lose more than half their life, and you have 2 flyers, one with recursion that is very hard to get rid of because you have to pretty much exile it. Fine, I get it. You got more exciting things to think about. So let's dream big. Let's have that magical Christmas land. Turn 2, this. Turn 3, ranging Raptors, proc. Grab you another motherfucking land. Then play Raptor Hatchling, proc again. It dies. No, wait. It's evolving into a 3/3, and it's still a dinosaur type. Proc again. Raptor swings in for 8. Your opponent's sweating. All they have are 4 Narsets in hand like an asshole while they look across the board at a natural 7 coming in next turn, already down to 12. Praying to God you simply curve into at least just rip draw Raptor and draw a card so they could survive, only taking 9 damage next turn rather than the likely big boss Regisaur Alpha to end them. They snap back. The beam is burning towards the left side of the screen. Their timer is almost up. They simply decide to concede, waving off with a good game you graciously give back, knowing it wasn't. You fucking demolished them. Now, this will only happen 93% of the time. But with the less talked about of the 3 new dinosaurs shifting Ceratops, I feel there's enough powerful cards in every slot of the curve to make either a Gruul-colored Immortal Suns or slightly more Planeswalkers assisting version to actually become a thing. Either way, set seems ridiculous. Like the best core set I've seen in my lifetime. Actually excited for this in Limited, War of the Spark was kind of trash, and even more so, looking forward to how it shakes up the standard meta. We'll hopefully try all these cards, but as usual, the uncommons like Spitfire, Sailor, Woodland Champion are going to be the cards I get into day one and see how they play in with decks that I already made. More excited to get into some crazy new build, but I'm not sure this is going to be the set to break that up. Usually just adding more cards pushes decks that could be good into tier 1 or pushes tier 1 decks into just ridiculous heights. Luckily, it didn't seem like there's too much for those archetypes. Mono Red doesn't need too much more. Esper Hero doesn't need too much more. Simic Nexus, fuck that deck, doesn't need too much more, and they're not getting too much help from these sets. But yeah, excited for everything. Even that weird addition of pets and still not having a friends list, which I feel like is a subtle troll. Like they're saying, yeah, your cat's your friend, isn't it? You lonely bastard. So we'll see how everything works out, but I'm very excited to play some more decks, give out some more content, hopefully get some more viewers, and we'll be on this ride together, continuing to play Magic. Damn, still no sign off. Didn't even realize, but Marauding Raptor actually goes infinite with Polyraptor, breaking the system, making your opponent go crazy, and you just laugh with joy. $6 billion.